Put him up, full mass. Candidate for the Montana House of Representatives and post-doctoral fellow at Montana Technical University, has been reappointed to his position with the public university. This is Trenin Bayless. Mr. Bayless is an accused white nationalist. At the end of this story, you may conclude he is, in fact, a white nationalist. The Montana Human Rights Network had earlier in the summer requested the Board of Regents of the Montana University system, which has oversight of all public colleges and universities, including Montana Tech, to investigate the claims and, at a minimum, eliminate contact Bayless has with students. When Bayless was interviewed, he denied claims of being a neo-Nazi white supremacist. Quote, "I am not that," Trenin Bayless told the Daily Montana in July, calling the accusation nonsense. There's more. However, in that same interview, Mr. Bayless declined to elaborate on his views, political or otherwise. Even though Bayless is under investigation, he will appear on the ballot in a race in House District 74. The Daily Montana and Montana Human Rights Network made multiple requests, but they've heard nothing. So previous calls to the Montana Republican Party went unreturned. And requests for any statement about Bayless, his candidacy, have also gone unanswered. Montana Human Rights Network Executive Director Nikki Zupanik said she's heard nothing from Bayless or attorneys since the organization went public with his concerns. So here's what's happening. They're calling the Republican Party in Montana. Hey, is the guy running for the state rep seat racist? Don't return that call. Somebody in office said, don't return the call. You can't just say, yeah, no. We have no information that says he's racist. They can't do it.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
Montana Human Rights, they reached out again, okay, to ask about the progress of the case and any information on the outcome. The Daily Montana did the same. The university officials responded with a brief acknowledgement that they had received the complaint, but nothing about what actions, if any, the university took. Quote, "We share your interest in ensuring that Montana Tech is a place to learn and work free from discrimination. We strive to provide an environment that is free from harassment and discrimination, while honoring the constitutional principles of free speech," said the letter, signed by Vanessa Van Dyke, Montana Tech's head of human resources, which includes Title IX. But then a few days later, this was after the vague response, Montana Tech Chancellor, this is the Chancellor, okay, Lee Cook, reappointed Bayless to his position, which pays an annual contract salary of $60,240 after the concerns of the Montana Human Rights Network, after they brought those concerns to light. The original story concerning the activities of this guy first appeared on July 11th, and the appointment letter is dated July 24th. Bayless accepted it the next day, July 25th. Bayless was exposed through his online post about his grand plan. Quote, "In his online writings, Bayless has stated that his main objective is to get as close to central leadership as possible in order to position himself and his like-minded friends to eventually seize control of both state institutions and groups of racist activists." On Substack, Bayless writes that, quote, "We seize control by showing up and making friends, then getting ourselves into useful positions, then getting more of our guys into useful positions." University has made no changes and no additional comments. He gave you the blueprint, told you how he was going to do it, affected the actual plan, is currently engaged in getting paid money. While doing it, multiple groups reputable in the state brought this to the attention of the university. University says, we're investigating, but then reappoint him quietly and do absolutely nothing. Now, as a public university, you do have to respect every university that receives federal funding. You have to respect the expression of speech. But the expression of speech stops when that expression violates the absolute rights of your other students from having access to education without receiving bigotry from others. You then have the opportunity, according to the rules, to dismiss a student if they are engaged in such racist and bigoted behavior. All right, this is a hell of a thing. A free speech dynamic, I would argue against that. The university could have did a lot more, and other universities have in the past and just went to court and won. But Jordan, the guy, he may not be technically a white nationalist as far as his self-branding, but he's a white nationalist de facto.
Yeah, and I think it's ridiculous and irresponsible for the university to continue to have him on staff there in that position.
Yeah.
And this is a university, like you lay out as a diversity statement. They talk about how discrimination and prejudice in this diversity statement are detrimental to human development, and they support an environment in which everyone is respected, welcomed, and appreciated. How so? In this case, how so? Really?
Right.
Especially if he's working with students.
Exactly.
Which is part of his job. Does that make them feel welcome, appreciated, included? Well, it's absurd. And these people who are okay with this, and I understand that you have laws and guidance around free expression in this country, that government actions have to be content neutral, that kind of stuff. You know, it's baked into the Constitution, but that doesn't mean he is entitled to a position where he works with students.
Right.
It cuts both ways. It doesn't mean that you can silence his speech, but it also doesn't mean that that protects him to have a job. So it's a tricky situation constitutionally under the First Amendment, but at just first glance, this is not somebody who should be in that position. It is purely irresponsible and unfortunate that this got continued.
Yeah, and the thing is, according to their logic, why put him under investigation? Because if you're saying he has the right, a freedom of speech right here, then him being a white nationalist is a freedom of speech issue. So why put him under investigation if you could do nothing anyway? So that's already a hypocrisy there. The second dynamic is that one of the advocacy groups said, listen, at the very least, stop his ability from interacting with students. He can continue to be a doctoral research student, but he doesn't have to be in an official position where he's influencing other students as basically a mentor-mentee relationship. At least do that. And they refuse to do that. All right, we'll bring you updates. Guaranteed it's going to explode. All right.